Phosphor Dot fans, Earl at thelogbook.com, back on the Atari 2600, playing the 2600 port of Mario Brothers. The Mario Brothers were not yet super, but, you know, this was really kind of a glimpse of the future. Of course, in Japan at the time, the Famicom already existed. In fact, Nintendo tried to interest Atari in manufacturing their own version of the Famicom under the Atari name, and they tried to form a partnership because Nintendo did not feel it had a foothold in the American consumer market and was not a prominent enough, well-known name. Now, of course, it's pretty much synonymous with video games, much like Atari used to be. But enough about the Atari Advanced Video System that never happened, because Atari had big problems of its own just keeping the lights on, and so they eventually just kind of stiffed Nintendo on that request. But they weren't afraid to snag some rights for something like Mario Brothers. So it's, you know, it is Mario Brothers. It is recognizable as such. Barely. A lot of the... A lot of the game's charm, because this is not a bad translation of the game. It's eminently playable. A lot of the charm of the original really derived from the music and the very specific character animations. And those things were nowhere in evidence here. And it's just way too easy to get killed by that fireball. Okay, not bad on the bonus screen there. Alright. Now you've got to bump him twice. Yikes. Fireball. Remember what I was saying about the fireball? A little too ever-present. Some games can withstand changes to their audiovisual presentation. I recorded a video recently that may or may not have dropped by the time you see this one, where I talked about the fact that even though the Odyssey 2 port of Qbert lacks the 3D presentation of the arcade game, it is still recognizable and playable. You still know it's Qbert. But some games, and I would say that Mario Brothers is in that category, really do rely on the specifics of their audiovisual presentation for their identity. That being said, it's still perfectly playable and enjoyable. I mean, at the time, in the US, this and the Atari 5200 version of the same game, that was it. You didn't have the NES with its, arcade perfect translation of this. Oh, I have powed the POW button away. Oh, now these guys, I like even less than the lobster. Oh, face full of fireballs. So there you have Mario Brothers for the Atari 2600. There was quite an ad campaign around this one, as I remember, on TV. And it was kind of interesting because that was on TV at about the same time that the Donkey Kong cartoon was on Saturday Supercade. And so you kind of had this moment. Let's call it a Star Wars Holiday Special moment. Because the Star Wars Holiday Special was kind of like this window into an alternate timeline where George Lucas hadn't decided what Star Wars meant yet. What the larger import and the scope of its universe amounted to. And so you had this glimpse into this alternate presentation of Star Wars. This point in the history of Mario as a character was very similar, because Nintendo had not clamped down and said, okay, Mario is this cute cartoon character. And, his outfit looks like this, his mustache looks like this, his eyes look like this. This is how Mario looks. Instead, we were at a moment where Mario looked like the guy in Atari's TV commercials, and Mario looked like the Mario in the Donkey Kong cartoon on Saturday Supercade. So, it's sort of that split second in time before Nintendo clamped down and set out a style guide for the character. You kind of had these alternate universe Marios running around, and none of them really looked the same. So, see also the various incarnations of Pac-Man in the early 80s, especially in America, before Namco shook everyone by the collar and said, no, Pac-Man looks like this. He's round, he has little Mickey Mouse gloves, he has little boots, he's always smiling. He is not the character you see on the side art of the arcade game. And he is not Pac-Man in the ABC Saturday morning cartoon, although that was close. You take the hat off of him and you're almost there. But it's kind of interesting in hindsight, at least to me, to look back at these characters before they were fully formed, before they had reached their final form.